Well, my next guest spoke out about the killing of the woman who Israeli forces say refused to stop approaching the checkpoint. Quote, tweets from the UN and EU representatives in Palestine expressing shock at the Israeli military murdering a Palestinian mother of 6 yesterday in Hussan near Bethlehem. I am shocked at their shock and wonder, does shock ever lead to action? Well, that's the head of the Palestinian mission to the UK, Hussam Zomlo, who I'm pleased to say is joining me live in the studio. What sort of action would you like to see, just out of interest?
International law is very clearly defined. I mean, the premise of it is the inadmissibility of acquiring land by force, which Israel has been doing for at least 55 years. The full array of international sanctions has been applied on Russia only in a matter of weeks, but over 74 years, the Palestinian people have been suffering from colonization, military occupation, killings. It's killing fields. I mean, you've just described the woman. She is half blind. She didn't hear them. They simply executed her. And every day, only yesterday, 4 Palestinians were killed, including a young boy, Mohammed Zakarni, in Jenin. And now we're hearing reports that they misidentified that boy. That misidentification happens on a daily basis. So the international rules are very clear. And the Palestinian people have had it, Becky. They're sick and tired of the double standards, of the hypocrisy. And they have adopted the nonviolence. We have adopted the nonviolence, seeking to go to the international organizations, going to the International Criminal Court. And guess what? We have been blocked even from pursuing such peaceful action. So there is a rise of temperature in Palestine.
I read a lot of analysis at the moment that suggests that there is, on the Palestinian side, no guiding hand apparent in the incidents, the events, the attacks that are happening against Israelis. So I want to know where you believe this is headed at this point.
No, there is a guiding hand. It's the occupation.
You know what I meant by that.
Yeah. The root causes of all this is very well known.
But there's no one single group involved here. That's the point. I mean, and that is the worry, I think, for people watching this.
No, it's not the worry. If we really want to understand it, international media has got to stop blaming the victims and start understanding them and what's happening and exposing the reality that leads to all these events. And this has been ongoing and repeating itself. I think it's about time that we understand why young people do what they do. Why a person who was born in a refugee camp, who has seen his camp destroyed twice, who knows the story of his parents as they fled under gun force, removed from their homes. Why would he do that? It is about hope and hopelessness. It is about trust and belief. You tell me, what would you recommend the Ukrainian people would do? I see the media full of loading them for taking up arms, defending their land, throwing Molotov cocktails. And when it comes to Palestinians, we are still described as terrorists. So it is about time, high time, that we truly, truly understand the situation as it is. The Palestinian people have had it.
There's no sign yet of widespread violent protest in the West Bank. Do you expect that to change at this point?
The Palestinian people have been at it on their land for 74 years. There have been so many attempts at uprooting us, not only from the 48 areas which became Israel. My own parents were uprooted from our home and I became a refugee, and I was born in a refugee camp to the very south of Gaza. But it is ongoing Nakba catastrophe. You follow the house demolitions, evictions on a daily basis, and the murder. I mean, the media picks on deteriorating situation when Israelis are harmed. But last year only, more than 355 Palestinians were killed, including 78 children, Becky. And it wasn't picked upon. So every household, every neighborhood has a child who has been killed, a woman who has been misidentified, has a neighborhood that has been devastated, cannot travel, cannot work, cannot move, in a system that was described only recently by Amnesty International here in the UK, based, and before it, the Human Rights Watch in the US, to be full-fledged apartheid. That is Israel operating. So the root causes are very well defined. We know them. Human rights organizations know them. Palestinians live it on a daily basis. The question is, why aren't we visiting the root causes? Why are we putting Israel above the law? And the situation in Ukraine has really exposed the selectivity of the international community.